Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Mr. Kakate here. I'm going to talk through one of the practice problems from the week of 419. So first off, if you want to pull that up on Classkick, you want to pause, probably a good idea, just so we can go through this together. So I want to walk through number one. It says a voter registration drive was held in the small town of Snapville. The number of voters, V, registered T days after the drive began, can be estimated by the equation below. What does the number 65 mean in this context? So what I'm going to do first is a little bit of highlighting. Okay, the first sentence is not really relevant, just background. Then we see the number of voters, V, and I guess I should also include registered. And then I'm going to switch colors here just so you can see this, but it's T is days after the drive began. I'm going to keep it simple and just say days. And then we have this population here. So I'm going to also highlight the colors that go with what I highlighted in the problem. Okay, and then now I need to break down this equation as far as like what is what. It's only asking for number 65, but I'm going to go through everything just so y'all can see it. Okay, the first thing is V. It's already told me what V is. V is the number of voters registered some amount of days after the drive began. Okay, and now let's just pretend that it's before the drive begins, which means it's what? 0 days, right? So 0 days before anything begins means I would put a 0 in for this T, which means 65 times 0 makes it 0, right? Let me write that out a little bit here so y'all can see it. So basically I'm at V equals 3450 plus 65 times 0. This is a long way of saying that if there's 0 days passing by, until like 0 days after this thing has started, right? Before it started, that means. Then basically I'm going to have 3,450 voters registered. So that 3,450 basically is saying that there's 3,450 voters registered as a starting point. Okay, so that's like your constant, which is also known as your starting point. I'm going to write that over here too. So 3,450 is the constant or starting point. Okay, and then now I want to look at the 65 and the T. We know what the T is because it already is given to us. That's why I highlighted it in blue. It's the number of days after the drive began. So when we're trying to figure out what the 65 is, which is what the question is asking, what we want to do is see what is like what's going to be like per that variable. The coefficient in front of the variable is always going to have the word per or each in it. So if T is days, then 65 has to be something per day. What's that something? The something is going to be whatever the whole question is about, which is number of voters registered. Okay, so we can say that the blank is number of voters registered. Okay, number of voters registered per day. That's all you got to do. You got to see what the variable is, and then whatever that is, it's going to be per that or each that, depending on the question. Okay. I'm going to go through a couple more problems after this. If you feel like you got a good handle, go ahead and just jump back into the assignment, but I'm going to go through a couple of problems that are from the diagnostic exam that y'all took last week.